The rain fell today, soft and persistent, painting the city in shades of gray and silver. It was the kind of rain that seemed to wash the world clean, just as it always did on this specific day, year after year. Inside Anyang Café, the world felt like a different place, warm, inviting, and filled with the comforting scent of freshly brewed coffee and cinnamon rolls straight from the oven. Arjun sat at his usual corner table, sketchbook open, pencil moving quietly across the page as he tried to capture the moment. He wasn't just drawing the cafe, he was drawing the feeling of it: warmth, safety, anticipation, and the gentle hum of conversations blending with the rain outside. For 5 years, he'd come here on the first monsoon rain, waiting for a memory only he seemed to hold, a tradition that felt both hopeful and bittersweet. The bell above the door chimed, its sound clear and bright against the soft murmur of the cafe. Mira entered, shaking rain from her coat, her eyes scanning the room, searching for something unnamed, something she hoped to find again. She ordered chai, clutching the mug like a lifeline, her fingers wrapped tightly around the warmth, her expression distant and a little lost. Arjun watched her from across the room, heart heavy and hopeful, recognizing the look he'd seen 4 times before, an unspoken longing, a silent question. The rain continued its steady rhythm, a silent witness to their yearly, one-sided reunion, as if the world paused for just a moment, holding its breath for what might come next. Arjun's sketchbook was a library of forgotten moments. He flipped through pages, Mira laughing, Mira pensive, Mira in a yellow raincoat, each year a new drawing, a new memory she never kept. He remembered her dreams, their shared jokes, the spark of their first meeting. Every year, she was a stranger. Every year, he drew her anyway. Today, he started a new page, sketching her at the counter, capturing the way she tucked her hair behind her ear. Each line was a quiet devotion, a hope that one day she'd remember. He drew not just to remember, but to hold on. Mira returned home, the emptiness following her like a silent shadow. The rain outside painted the windows with silver streaks, echoing the quiet ache in her chest. She paused by the window, watching the city blur behind the glass, feeling the weight of memories she couldn't quite name. As she set her bag down, a bundle of envelopes tumbled out, 4 in total, each one carefully dated on this very day, but from years long gone. The handwriting was achingly familiar, and her heart skipped as she realized she had forgotten these letters even existed. Inside the first envelope, she found delicate drawings, herself, sitting in a sunlit cafe, a scarf draped around her shoulders, a single cherry blossom floating in her tea. The sketches were so vivid, it was as if she could step right into that moment. On the back of each drawing were notes, written in a gentle hand. "The rain brought you to me today. I hope you remember." Each phrase was a whisper from the past, tugging at the edges of her memory. One note stood out. "I will wait for you here next year." The words felt like a promise, suspended in time, waiting for her to return. The name, Arjun, echoed in her mind, a bell ringing through distant fog. She closed her eyes, letting the sound fill the empty spaces inside her, trying to remember the face that went with the name. She opened each envelope, her hands trembling as she pieced together a story she'd lived but somehow forgotten. Each letter was a fragment, a puzzle piece from another life. Each drawing, each note was a map leading her back to him, a trail of breadcrumbs through the years, guiding her toward something she'd lost. The final note read, "Every year, you are a beautiful stranger, and every year I fall in love with you again. I will be waiting." The words wrapped around her heart, both comforting and bittersweet. Suddenly, she remembered. The man in the cafe, the one with the kind eyes and the ever-present sketchbook. He was her missing memory, the ghost she'd been searching for in her dreams. The letters were a map, and for the first time she was finally beginning to see the destination. The past was no longer a mystery, but a path she could follow. With new resolve, Mira slipped on her coat and stepped into the rain, her heart guiding her toward the place where love and memory waited to be found again. The drawings and letters spread across her bed, each a whisper from her past. The name Arjun became a feeling, warmth chasing away the chill of forgetfulness. Memories returned, Dalgona coffee, his scarf, his stories, his smile. The cafe wasn't random, it was their place. The rainy day, their day. He had been her anchor, waiting for her every year. She ran into the rain, tears and raindrops mingling, remembering not just him, but herself. The bell of Anyong Café chimed. Arjun looked up, heart leaping. Mira stood in the doorway, drenched, eyes clear and certain. There was only a universe of shared memories, finally reclaimed. Arjun stood beneath the shimmering streetlights, eyes shining with hope, and slowly held out his hand into the cool, gentle rain. The world around him seemed to pause, the city's usual rush softened by the steady rhythm of falling water. In that moment, every memory, every longing gathered in his outstretched palm. Mira smiled, the very same smile he had drawn 100 times in his sketchbook, and placed her hand in his, her touch warm and real, grounding him in the present. Together, they stepped into the rain, hand in hand, letting the sky wash over them. The city glistened around their joined fingers, each raindrop a tiny blessing, as if the world itself was celebrating their reunion. The rain was no longer sorrowful, it was a celebration, a symphony of laughter and light, echoing the joy that filled their hearts. In that moment there were no lost years, no regrets, only the truth of his hand in hers, and the promise that they would never let go again. Love sometimes is a quiet act of waiting, of believing in reunion against all odds. It is the patience to endure storms, and the faith that the sun will shine again. For Arjun and Mira, love was the scent of petrichor and coffee, the gentle comfort of shared silences, and the promise to stand together under the same sky no matter what the weather. The story was no longer just his to keep. It was theirs to continue, a new chapter written together, step by step, beneath the endless rain.